A very good morning. It's such a pleasure to be here. What I wanted to share with you links with the thought of illuminate. We all know that curiosity is a cornerstone of learning. And we see that people who are more curious learn a lot more. And that is the reason why you see young kids, the rate of learning is very high because they're very curious by nature. This got me thinking in terms of if curiosity is the cornerstone for learning, what is the cornerstone for success in the professional world and happiness in the personal world? This got me thinking. Spoke to a lot of people. Then I realized you get standard answers like skills and capabilities for professional life, sometimes comfort and money in the case of personal life. My hypothesis today is to say that skills, capability, comfort, and money are just a necessary condition, but they are not a sufficient condition for success in the professional world and happiness in the personal world. So my idea today is to give to you 5 call to action, which will make you more successful in your professional life and personally a lot more happy. These points that I'm going to give you can lead to personal action by each one of you starting today. The first tip that I want to give you is to be decisive. And I'm sure you've heard this word from multiple times, multiple people. 95% of the time, the decisions that we take are supported by data. The data will lend itself to be able to decide what is the right path. But the 5% is the one which creates leaders from the normal people. Why is it so important? Because most people who reach this stage get into what I call as analysis paralysis mode. The data is not supporting any one decision. They keep waiting for a lot more data. And if you're completely left-brained, you keep seeking more and more data. And this is the time what normally happens is your gut feel will tell you something, your heart will tell you something else, and your mind will tell you something else, and probably the data will tell you something else. So my challenge and my suggestion is, when you reach this stage, take a decision and move forward. And over time, I've realized after studying many professionals, that over time, you become very good at it in terms of how do you take a decision when there is not enough data to support you in that process. So that's called call to action is what I call as display energy. Energy is very infectious by nature. You see energetic people, you form an opinion very quickly. Oh man, this guy is action-oriented. It forms an action orientation. But there is also deep concepts behind why does energy create so much of infectious enthusiasm around. The human mind consists of many types of neurons. One of the important neurons that exists in our minds is called the mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are those which try to mirror what you see. So if you see a very infectious person, then the mirror neurons gets activated and the person also wants to display that kind of infectious enthusiasm around. And this happens all the time. The second reason why high energy oriented people become very successful people is because people around them also want to agree to the social norms. And the social norm is, this is the way I'll fit in. If you see energetic people around, you will see a lot more energy in the room. So my second call to action is, be energetic, display high energy in everything that you do. The third idea I have is actually to have a passion outside of work. You see very passionate people all the time. But my request to all of you is, try to have a passion outside of work. And why is this important? This is important for multiple reasons. First, a lot of people talk about work-life balance, right? If you don't have something you're passionate outside of your work, how can you have a life? You can't have a life. Then there's no question of work-life balance. That's point number one. Point number two is, Our human mind consists of a left brain and right brain that we all know. The left brain is all the quant, math, logic, and everything else. The right brain is the creative person in you. My recommendation is if you see very successful people, if their professional career requires them to use their left brain a lot more, they will be passionate about something in their personal life which activates their right brain a lot more. This brings a real balance in terms of how you look at things as a person, both as a professional and in your personal life. This is extremely important because most successful people, and they're building their careers, if you ask them, saying, what are you passionate outside of work? They will struggle to give an answer. It is important to build something you're passionate about outside of work. This passionate activity that you do need not remain constant throughout your life. You may be passionate about something for 10 years, and then you may find a new passion. But the most important thing is, if you have a free time from your work, what is that you're very passionate about doing? That brings a lot more balance in your life and a lot more success, both in your professional life as well as personal life. The fourth tip is also something that I have learned the hard way over time. And this needs a little bit of explanation. In everything that we do, there is something we contribute, let's say to an organization, and that we are learning personally. Let's take a college student. A college student is just out of college, joins an organization. When he or she joins that organization, contribution is pretty much zero because you're not yet ready to contribute to the organization. So you are in that learning mode, right? Over time, the contribution to the organization percentage keeps increasing. My philosophy is contribution plus learning is equal to 100%. And my request to each one of you is to ensure in your professional life, neither contribution nor learning ever goes to zero. Why is it important? Just imagine you are a 15-year experience working in a corporate world or working in an organization, and your contribution is zero. Your boss will come and tell you, I don't need you from tomorrow because you're not contributing. So that's the downside of contribution reaching to zero. Let's assume that learning goes to zero. If your learning goes to zero, 2 years from now, you'll become obsolete. Right? So if you constantly think about it, that my contribution plus learning is equal to 100%, it is your job to ensure that neither one of them ever goes to zero. And that is an important attribute for you to be successful over long periods of time. There is another reason why this is important. We talked about curiosity being the cornerstone of learning, right? We are all wired to learn. And I think the personal satisfaction that we get when we learn is the highest. So that's another reason why you have to ensure that the learning never goes to zero and the contribution never goes to zero. My fifth tip, and probably the most important tip, is to focus on your health. There is something called as a psychological distance, which prevents us from to take action. And I'm saying, why am I saying this in the context of this? Most of us, when you are young, you think, you are very healthy. And the problem seems to be, if I become unhealthy, it's going to be far away. A psychological distance comes in the way of you taking action today. But more importantly, it's important, most people misunderstand what is health. A lot of people link health to fitness. My proposition is health is a combination of 4 things. 1, physical fitness. Because if you're not physically fit, that you talked about displaying high energy and displaying long hours of work, take care of people at home. All that is not possible. So fitness is extremely important. The second is diet. You need to eat the right kind of food at the right times. So we all know that. We struggle with this. The third is actually good sleep. Sleep probably is the most underestimated aspect of our life. I'm not necessarily saying everybody should sleep for 8 hours or 10 hours. Whatever is required for you, you need to have a good sleep. And sleep does magic to our body to be able to recharge itself for action the next day. So that is the third. And the fourth it's an extremely important thing, is to have a positive outlook towards life. So only when you have all four combinations in the right balance, in terms of fitness, in terms of nutrition, in terms of sleep, and have a positive outlook towards life, is when you will be able to build something very memorable in your professional life and make you personally very, very happy. Thank you very much.